Hi everyone. I have just going to do a fairly simple one today. It's just going to be one color. I'm only going to use the Tim Holtz Ranger Eggplant color for the one today. Well, along with my Pinata Brass, which most of you all know, I can't manage to do a painting that doesn't have some sort of metallic in it, and it's usually Pinata Brass. I'm going to do it on an 8-inch Nara synthetic art paper round. If y'all haven't tried the Nara yet, I really do like it. It's excellent. It doesn't stain nearly as much as Yupo does, so it's a really good, sturdy, waterproof art paper to paint on. Alright, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple introduction today. Let's see, I do have 99% isopropyl alcohol in my bottle today. So that is, and well, this is my Pinata Brass that's in this bottle. If you see me using this, real quickly, because anytime I forget to mention this at the front of a video or in the video, I 100% of the time I get questions about it in the comment section. I'm using my Revlon brand curling brush type hair dryer. It just has the brush attachment removed that came on the end of it. I just popped it off so that I could use it straight up and down like that. Works great. It's got a cool setting. You've got high heat, low heat, and cool. The cool setting is what I use probably at least 99% of the time. I rarely put it over on heat unless I just need to very quickly dry some little place. So the link to the Amazon link to this one is in the description box below, but it certainly doesn't have to be this one. I just recommend that you get one that has a cool setting on it. Not only a heat setting. Something like an embossing gun that is only hot. Don't know about that. You're going to have some issues with your paper warping no matter what you use. If it gets hot enough, it's going to warp. With the Nara, I have had it warp on me when I was drying stuff, but every time it has flattened back out. I've never had it stay warped. So, you know, but just be careful. Obviously, it's plastic. It's a type of plastic paper. So be careful, because if you warp it too badly, it's not going to flatten back out. It's going to stay warped. So be careful using heat. But anyway, that's it. So, because I knew I would get a question if I did not show that. So, there you go. Revlon. And also, another question I get a lot about this. This is 500 watts. Because I wanted one that wasn't going to just blow the ink everywhere. So I did go with the 500 watt one that had very bad reviews on how well it dried your hair, because that was specifically what I wanted, was an air source that, you know, spread it out more than something like an airbrush or an, you know, air gun type thing, but not as hard to hold as a regular hair dryer, because that would just, you know, really, when I very first started, I used a regular hair dryer a few times and realized that was not going to work for me. So, so that's it. That is all my supplies that I am using today, and I will get started. Be back with you all in a sec. Okay, now you'll notice like from the opening here that I decided to only use one color on this one, just the eggplant. I had initially planned on using two, but just changed my mind and stuck with just the eggplant. So on this one, I was trying to make my wispies, for lack of a better term, was trying to make them a little bit smaller, since it was just an 8-ounce round. And I wanted to be able to make the kind of curving shape on it like I did. So I was trying to keep my wispy sections small. So on this one, I went all the way through. You'll see this here in a minute. I just put down my initial puddle of, well, this, for some unknown reason, this time I did it backwards from what I usually do. I put down the alcohol, then the ink, and then the metallic, the pinata brass. And I'm not sure why I changed my order. I know I had something in mind when I did that, but I don't remember why, except just to see what happened, I guess, because it's been a long time since I've done it that way. Normally I put my ink down first, and then the brass, and then the alcohol. So, yeah, so mixed it up there a little bit this time, but it worked good. So anyway, yeah, what I did was put down that initial puddle and then go all the way, worked my way all the way around in the shape that I kind of wanted to go with on this. So that when I got to the end of putting down all that, the initial little spots of alcohol or of ink, I went back with just the alcohol and started doing my wispy sides out from it after that. I was trying to think. I should have written this down because I was thinking earlier today that when I did this, there were some questions that I had had lately that I was getting the same questions from several people across different platforms. And I'd wanted to address some of those, and darn if I can even remember what they are now. Because right now, at the moment, I don't really have anything to tell you about what I'm doing here. It's all going to be the exact same thing. One thing I did want to give as a reminder is to keep your air source off to the side. Don't put it over top of your ink puddle. I have talked to a few people about that lately who have been having some trouble with their ink, getting those fingers. And thank you to to my viewer who gave us a new name for them, spider legs. So the spider legs that tend to blow out everywhere across your paper. That is usually from coming in too much over top of your ink and alcohol. If you have your air source, or if you have a dryer like mine, or whatever, I can't really speak for airbrushes because I've never used one. But if you're using a dryer, a hair dryer, or something similar, if you put it directly over top of your ink, it is going to blow out all over the place. It's going to spread out into those little spider legs, what I've always called fingers on your paper. It's not going to be very controllable. You've got to keep your dryer really, really close to the surface of your paper. I mean, like really close, like a quarter, half to a half an inch. I mean, no higher than a half an inch off your paper. But also keep it off to the side of where your ink and alcohol are. Now, see, if you watch that right there, I don't come in over my puddle. I'm only doing it on the sides. The only time you'll see me go directly over top is if it has dried so much that there's really no ink to blow around anymore. And I just will come in over top to finish kind of drying up any last tiny little bits that may be a little more liquid than I want before I move on to the next part. Try and dry some of that extra tackiness up in there a little bit. So keep that in mind, because that is an issue that some people are still having. And I know I've got so many new subscribers lately that I know a lot of you all, if this is, just your first or second video or something of mine that I've done, you may not have heard me say that before. And darn if I can remember what the number of the video is now. I want to say 19, but I'm really not sure. But if you have not watched it yet, I highly recommend that you go back and watch the video that I did about frequently asked questions, because I covered that in there and actually give you some examples. I show you what will happen so that you can see, and it might give you an idea of if that might be your problem or not. And there's also some other things that I talk about in there that had been questions that I had been asked quite a bit. One of the other things that I had wanted to mention was back to about using photo paper for practicing on. Any store brand photo paper would probably work fine. Now, there are differences in some of them. I prefer the Office Depot brand, but I know that a lot of you can't get that. There's not an Office Depot where you are. So, I don't know, especially all of my international viewers, I really don't know what sort of office supply stores you have around there. But that's what an Office Depot is in the U.S. anyway, is an office supply store. And that's where I get that photo paper from. If you have a Costco near you, you can check at Costco. But I know the one here where we live in Washington, it does not carry the photo paper in the store. You have to order it online. And now you can get the Costco brand, which is Kirkland. You can get that fairly cheap. It's one of the cheapest ones that I've seen. But I don't like the back of it quite as well as I do the Office Depot. Some people like the Staples brand really well too. I haven't tried it. I just feel like the Office Depot brand is a little bit closer to the same consistency as some of the art papers, like this Nara Round and the Graphics Craft Plastic and things. It's thinner, but it's smoother. Something about the Kirkland's brand seems a little bit papery to me on the back. Now your ink will still move, but I have found that I like the Office Depot better. I just feel like the ink moves a little bit more smoothly on it. All right, so I made my way around and then just came back and started spreading my ink out good. Once again, making sure I didn't get that dryer right over top of the paper or the ink pedal or the alcohol pedal, whatever it is, whatever I'm working on there. So that it didn't blow out those fingers where I didn't want them. And I used less alcohol on these than I normally would. When I'm doing a bigger 9x12 or 12x12 or 11x14, some of those sizes you all have seen me do. With this, especially because I wanted to make so many different little places that I did have to be really cautious about only getting just a few drops of ink down at a time. Excuse me, y'all, I'm getting a little bit hoarse. I've got a little bit of a sore throat. And if you're watching this during March, no, I don't think I have COVID-19 or coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. I've got a lot of allergy issues going on, so I'm hoping that's what's causing my sore throat right now. So I may be a little bit hoarse or more hoarse before this video is over. Let's see. All right, so I tried not to have too much of a center line on this one. I didn't want to have it be like one long snaking figure. I wanted it to be more like flowers that were just sort of joined together. Sort of like a lei from Hawaii or something. So I tried to keep as I was blowing my ink back in, I tried to keep it, sort of in the center more of that spot. I wanted it connected to the one next to it, but I didn't want to have a dark line that just ran straight, a very delineated line, if that's... not sure that made a whole lot of sense, but anyway, I didn't want that to have that line, so I did try to be real careful about where I directed that ink back in and tried to make it more towards a center spot in the center of each initial place that I had dried of the ink, each of my little ink spots there. I hope that makes some kind of sense. I'm not entirely sure. It's, like I said, I'm not feeling real great with this sore throat and sinus stuff going on. And it's about 11:30 at night here right now, so I'm pushing past my bedtime. I'm getting pretty tired, so I may not make much sense. Between the stuffy head and just being tired, hopefully I won't sort of phase out on y'all too much. So that's and what you see me doing on this first one, this is pretty much what I did all the way around. Just kind of, focused on each individual section as I came to it. Rather than trying to work large spots, just tried to work those individual sections as I came to them and kind of turn them into to somewhat flower looking. I wasn't really trying for a flower look, but I wanted something sort of like that when I got done. Maybe some abstract flowers, maybe. But something like that. They kind of reminded me of orchids or something when I got done with it, which I really liked. Excuse me. I might should have waited, but I think there's so many people home bored right now trying to find something to do if you can't work or if you're having to stay home to take care of kids that are not in school right now. That I wanted to try to get this video up pretty quickly to give you all something new to watch. I will do my best here during this coronavirus outbreak to get some videos up a little more often, so that at least that'll to give you a little bit of new content to watch. I know it, especially with the alcohol inks, it can get really hard to find new content because there's just not enough people that are doing tutorials on this. Now you can find people that you can watch just speed paint that don't tell you what they're doing. And there are a few who do some really good tutorials, but there's just not enough tutorials to keep you busy if you're binge watching YouTube videos on alcohol inks. So I will try to do a little bit better and make sure that I get at least 2 or 3 a week up. Anyway, I will, shouldn't be too hard to find the time to get it done. The problem's not finding the time to get the painting done. It's getting this voiceover part done and getting stuff stitched together, edited a little bit, and then the saving and uploading is what really takes forever. So if any of you all are using video editors right now for iPhone and you are using a really good one that you're really happy with, reach out and let me know, because I'm just not real thrilled with InShot. I love it except for the fact that it really takes forever. It takes at least an hour for every video to save, and then it takes closer to 2 hours to get it to upload to YouTube once it's done saving. And it drives me insane because since I do all this on my phone, I can't use my phone while the video is saving or uploading to YouTube. So it's kind of annoying to me to not be able to even go and start painting, working on another video while one of them is getting uploaded. There are a lot of times I would have time to go ahead and paint another one, but I'll put it off since I can't videotape it for you all. So, or record. I don't guess technically you could call it videotaping anymore, could you? We don't use videotapes. So there you can see, just still working my way around, keeping that dryer off to the sides. And if you watch, you'll see at times I'll get a little run going out, and watch how I keep that dryer jumping around a lot. I don't go around and around the puddle of ink. Now you can do that, and you can make some really pretty rose looking flowers if you do that. But that's not the look that I wanted. So I don't circle my ink puddle. I mean, jumping is the best best way I can think of to describe it. I just kind of jump around from side to side, and when I see too much ink going to one place, I jump to that spot and blow it another way, and then jump to another spot and another spot. And you'll notice as it dries more, I tend to leave the dryer in the same place for longer, because I want to be sure that I get it pushed in towards the center, so I don't have too much dark area out towards where I want my wispy parts to be. So let's see, I was trying to think. Well, I know there was something else that I have had 2 or 3 questions about lately, and I can't remember what it is. I know some of you saw the video that I did using the grain alcohol, the 190 proof grain alcohol, which it went fairly well. I mean, I was a little disappointed that it doesn't seem to be something that you can use a metallic with, but you definitely can get a wispy look, and as long as you're just using regular inks and not the metallic inks. Even my Pinata Brass did not react the way that it always does with alcohol. So with regular alcohol, not drinking alcohol. Although I know a lot of places you can't get 190 proof alcohol like that. So I think it's just going to depend on where you are. But if you're unable to get isopropyl alcohol right now, and you can get your hands on some 190 proof liquor, something along the lines of moonshine, or Everclear, which is what I used, one of the 190 proof that does not have any additives in it. You don't want one that's got flavorings and colors or fruits or anything like that added to it. You just want the straight up white liquor. So keep that in mind if you can't find alcohol. There's also blending solution, the Tim Holtz blending solution. I have used that. I don't love it myself, but a lot of people prefer it. I just feel like I have done better using alcohol, and plus I use so much alcohol. Paying $8 or so for a 2-ounce bottle of blending solution it's not cost effective for me, and I don't like the shiny kind of sheen that it leaves on the paper, where when you put it down and you're blowing your ink back in, wherever the blending solution was, it just leaves this kind of sheen on the paper, and I don't like that. But it does keep your inks a little brighter looking. They seem to have a little more depth of color to them if you use it rather than alcohol. And it is, if you can't get alcohol, blending solution's a great idea. Other companies have it too. Bria Reese has one. Pinata has one. Some of them it's called extender rather than the blending solution. So, but that's something you can kind of keep in mind if you can't find alcohol. It will cost you a little bit more for the blending solution and extenders and things, but it is something you can use so that you don't have to stop painting. Another place, they may all be sold out by now, but auto parts places, a lot of auto and industrial chemical type places will sell the 99.5% isopropyl. That's actually where I got the last that I had ordered, was from some kind of industrial chemical place. I think it was off of Amazon, but I think the seller was actually I can't remember now if it was oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I couldn't hold that back. I can't remember now if it was like an industrial chemical place or a car parts kind of place, some kind of auto parts store. There's also computer stores or office supply stores. They use really high percentage alcohol for cleaning some of the stuff, some of these electronic components. So that's another place that you can check. Now, a lot of people may have figured that out by now, and so they may be out as well. But that is a place to keep in mind if you want to look around for some. Alright, so you can see how I kept a little bit of that line, but for the most part, the darker areas, the higher concentration of ink, I tried to keep, in the center of each little bunch of ink as I came to it, so that it didn't just look like some little squashed snake laying on my paper. I have done them before that all I could think of is it looked like a run-over woolly worm or something. When so a lot of you all may not know what a woolly worm is. Something that we have in the North Carolina mountains in abundance. We actually have a woolly worm festival up near where we're from every October. It's just a really fuzzy worm. It's usually brown and black, but sometimes you can see solid black ones. Or people actually race woolly worms. They go out and find them and race woolly worms for a prize at the Woolly Worm Festival. Supposedly, where the color of the stripes and the placement of the stripes on the woolly worm, according to the old timers, say that would tell you how bad your winter was going to be, which what the woolly worms look, what most of the woolly worms look like was supposed to tell you. It was a weather forecast. You're like warm, cold, warm, or cold and then warm, or warm then cold. So I never found that to be too accurate myself, but it was always fun to hunt woolly worms because they won't hurt you. They'll just roll up in a little ball. There's really fuzzy worms that'll roll up in a little ball until they feel comfortable on your hand, then they'll crawl around on you. Let's see. I've got another video that I need to do the voiceover. Actually, that I did. I did the painting just a day or two ago and haven't had time to do the video for it. So hopefully I can have that video up within just a couple of days after this one. It's not a linear type one like this. It's one that's more the coming from the bottom up and leaving some white space, some negative space there at the top of it, but kind of wisping out the top edges of where the ink comes up. That has really quickly become one of my favorite styles. I just love the way it looks. I feel like I can get more colors in it and just love the way the colors blend together. Yep, so if any of you all, especially all my new subscribers that are just now starting out, I'm always happy to try to answer your questions. If you're having, struggles with something, let me know and I will do my best to come up with a solution for you. Sometimes it just takes practice. If you're new to this, just remember, it's not as easy as it looks. It's really not. This can be a really tricky technique to learn with the alcohol inks, to get that really soft, wispy edge on it. And I don't understand why it is, but it was for me too. It seems like it would be really simple, but it's trickier than it seems. Once you start trying to do it, you realize that's a lot more difficult than you thought it was going to be. So don't give up, though. I mean, you can get it. I firmly believe this is something that you can learn to do. You just have to have patience and be willing to work at it. Like everything else, it just takes practice. It's any new technique you learn, it's just practice, practice, practice. Unless you're just one of those really super lucky people who's a prodigy and can pick something up the first time they do it and get it perfect. So, and kudos to you if you are. That's awesome. I wish I was. I would love to be an art prodigy where I could just pick up any type of art immediately. Let's see. Let me give another mention for Katherine Babcock at Artistic Insanity. Sorry, I was trying to get a little extra ink off the edge right there. It was wanting to run around the edge of the circle. Katherine's still doing her series on alternative things that you can paint other than just painting on Yupo or craft plastic or something, like doing things around the house, or on one of them she's even got little clay, just made like a little clay pot herself and then painted the clay pot with alcohol ink. So check her out if you have not already. It's Katherine Babcock, Artistic Insanity. And she's always very amusing. I always get some chuckles when I'm watching her videos, tutorials. That's the word I was trying to come up with. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm glad I just have this one voiceover that I need to do tonight. So, also got another new channel that'll be coming up. She has just started her channel. Did not have a full tutorial up yet, but I'll go ahead and tell you all about it because she might by the time I get this posted. Annette Duguay Bruce is starting a channel, and a lot of hers is going to be on doing the flowers with alcohol inks, using an air gun or an airbrush to make the flowers with the really long petals and things on them. They're really pretty. But she does a whole lot of other things as well. And what she has said to me is she plans on doing tutorials covering a whole bunch of different things, not just the flowers, but a lot of different things that you can do. She does macrame and all kinds of stuff. So, all right, well, this is just about the end here. I just was touching up that spot there where it had kind of run a little bit down the side, was trying to chase it back in and even that out just a little bit, get it a little bit wispier looking right there. So, well, thank you all. Before I run out of time here, thank you to all my new subscribers. If you're just starting out watching me, I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up if you like what you see. I would love to have you subscribe. I feel like we're just kind of a big family here. All of you are just friends and family to me, and I'm thrilled to help out if I can, and I hope that these videos have been some benefit to you and that you have enjoyed what you see here. And this pretty much wraps up another one for me. But I will do my best to be back within just a couple of days with another one for y'all. Everybody stay in and stay well, and we'll get through this virus together. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.